Hey everyone. It is really fitting that I am currently in Virginia, house sitting for my parents. So I have this nice, snazzy, boomery kind of background with the weird fake flowers. But I wanted to, while I'm here, and I think it's really funny that I'm here during the elections and got to see, uh, Virginia, a state that when I grew up here, it was staunchly conservative. And as I grew up, as I started to become an adult, started going more purple. And it has now flipped blue. And I keep seeing my friends online, the conservatives that I talk to, some of them are shocked or surprised that Virginia could flip that way. And I think it's really important that people understand that this isn't surprising at all. This is what's going to happen. This is the future. If we don't act now, conservatives, independents, I guess libertarians, people who are not brainwashed by globalist Democrats and leftists, we have to understand that this whole concept of demographic replacement, it is very real. It is not a conspiracy theory. That's what mainstream media wants you to believe. They want you to think that the idea of demographic replacement is strictly limited to, white nationalists or white supremacists. And it's just not true. American ideals are under threat. American exceptionalism is suddenly a dirty thought or a dirty concept. We are not allowed to be proud to be Americans, and we're not allowed to believe that the American way of life is better. And so that's why mainstream media, which is controlled by globalists, they want you to associate replacement theory with something distasteful, with something, negative. And they want you to think that so that you won't act on it. I see a lot of people who believe that the white race is being replaced. And if you look at the facts, if you look at statistics, there is merit to that. But I think it's bigger. I think it's more. I think it's not just relegated to a race. It's relegated to, or it's opened up to, sorry, a way of life, a belief system, a thought process. And you can say it's if you want to say that it's tied into Christianity or Western civilization, I I think there's merit to that as well. But to me, in a bigger picture, and what is more threatening is that it's not just a specific religion, a specific race. It is a way of life. It's the American way of life. If you pay attention to Dave Rubin, which I don't put a lot of clout into him. He's part of Conservative Inc., so you have to take everything they say with a grain of salt. But he had Brandon Tatum on recently, and Brandon pointed this out, and I'm so glad that he did, because if what he had said had come out of a white person's mouth, no one would have listened to him. But Brandon was on the Rubin Report wearing an America First shirt, and talking about how the black community, the black voting demographic, is being replaced. He is part of the Blexit movement, and a lot of people can argue about whether they're really gaining a lot of headway or whether they really are turning, black people away from, the democratic brainwashing that they've been undergoing for the last, 40, 50 years. And pointed out the truth that people in power want to stay in power, and they're willing to destroy their own culture if they can import other people that are going to blindly follow and do whatever they want. I guess an example of this that I thought about recently, if you've ever watched Game of Thrones, and if you haven't and plan to, spoiler alert, I guess, but there's this one scene, there's this one episode where the queen, her power is threatened, and there are she could be arrested, she could be taken into custody because she's an evil person, and in order to stop herself from facing judgment, she blows up her entire city. She kills hundreds of thousands of people. And there's this sort of, now iconic scene where she's standing, from afar in her castle, sipping wine and smirking as she watches, her own citizens burn to death. It's an extreme example, but that is what's happening. They're willing to destroy everything that is beautiful and wonderful about America if it's going to keep them in power, if it's going to get them more power. And this is going to happen not just to white people. It's going to happen to Hispanics, like my own community. It's going to happen to the Black community. It's going to happen to everyone who holds freedom as an ideal, who holds, American, the American dream, the American way of life, of pursuing, freedom and liberty and happiness. So we have to wake up. If you haven't woken up yet to the fact that you are being replaced, it's time. And stop believing what mainstream media, what Conservative Inc., what all of those people try to tell you to try and convince you that immigration is somehow a good thing. It's not. And I appreciate the generations of Hispanics that are here that have embraced American values, that understand that the real Hispanic culture is a conservative culture. I see a lot of my friends that are in the Black community, they don't, who are conservative, they don't understand how the Black community as a whole is so liberal, is so staunchly Democrat. And I completely relate to that. Hispanics are staunchly conservative. They're culturally conservative, morally conservative. We come from, hundreds of years of Catholicism. And so it baffles me that Hispanics come here and are suddenly liberals and Democrats. It's not our culture. It's not, the values that we hold. And so much like my Black counterparts who wonder, does this really come down to free shit? Is that what this is really about? Are my people willing to sell out their ideals for handouts? And wondering that about your own people, about your culture, it's so heartbreaking. It's so frustrating to see, a culture that was founded on morality and, on traditional family values. Hispanics are being replaced and destroyed. That traditionalism is being destroyed by people that are coming up from third world, underdeveloped countries, rather than these people staying in their own country, trying to make it a better place, trying to give everyone around them a better life. They would rather abandon that and come here and replace us. And we have to speak up about it. We have to say something. We have to stand up for American values. because it's not going to affect us. This is a slow burn. This isn't Game of Thrones where everything just blows up at once and everyone's wiped out. This is a slow process that's been happening for decades. We have to wake up to it because our children are going to suffer immeasurably if we do nothing. Our grandchildren are going to suffer even more if we do nothing, if we say nothing. We have to stop allowing mainstream media, pundits, everyone who's on the take, everyone who is a globalist, whether it's openly or secretly, we have to stop believing them when they say that this is a lie, when they say that this is a conspiracy. It's not. It's happening. Look at what just happened in Virginia. American values are being replaced, and we have to do something about it.